We are going to get started in just a moment, everybody.
No.
Are we sans mask or with? I can show you my negative test. Ooh. That was loud. What is our rule? Sing off?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, well, Shabbat Shalom. Are we good to go?
Sure. Oh, thank you.
Awesome. Well, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Good evening. It is wonderful to see you all tonight on this wonderful, beautiful summer day, summer evening. And we are looking forward to inviting some rest and some peace, whatever that may mean for you, however you may need it, into the next 24 hours as we welcome Shabbat together. So speaking of which, we will begin singing together with Shalom Aleichem, this beautiful melody as we invite the Shabbat angels, or perhaps a little extra holiness, a little extra sacredness as we begin this holy time. So please join us.
Shalom Aleichem. Oh.
That's great. We both started.
Hello, Tobin.
With the wrong
Talman Goldfarb. Let's try
If
that
everyone
again.
makes a mistake, is it a
That's
mistake?
wonderful.
I don't know.
I
Well,
love it.
we can save this for Yom Kippur. Shalom.
No. Shalom.
Oh, okay. I think we know the words, though.
Third time is the charm.
You start it because I'm embarrassed now. Okay.
Maybe you guys can start it. And
Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bohem Shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Chuni l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Seitchem l'shalom, Malachei Hashalom, Malachei Elyon. Mi Melech, Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu.
Want to again welcome everyone. Shabbat Shalom to those of you who are here with us in our sanctuary, and also to everyone who is joining us on the streaming. A quick Shabbat Shalom to Michael and Stephanie and Beth from Pittsburgh, and Maxine and Connie and the Shears, Pam and Ira, the Schneer family. Shabbat Shalom to everyone who is joining us, no matter where you are. We are happy that you are here. We're going to continue with lighting our Shabbat candles, and I'd like to invite our cantorial soloist, Gail Rose, to light the candles for us.
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlikner shel Shabbat.
we're going to continue together with this lovely reading called Lead Us, and I invite you to read along either on the slides in front of you or on the screen right below me. So please join with me. O source of light and truth, creator of the eternal law of goodness, help us to find knowledge by which to live. Lead us to take the words we shall speak into our hearts and our lives. And on that note, I want to mention really quickly the importance of how we can truly rest and take care of ourselves. I'm sure many of you have seen on the news about Simone Biles, the GOAT, the greatest of all time gymnast, and how she's withdrawing from the Olympics due to not feeling safe participating in the gymnastics competitions, and how she prioritized her physical and her mental and her emotional health by doing so. And I think we can all agree that that is far more valuable than any gold medal or other accomplishment, is taking care of all of those things. So as we continue here with Lecha Dodi and officially welcome in Shabbat, may we look up to Simone Biles as a model and how we can also prioritize our health in all of those different ways. Is there something that we need to take a rest from? Is there something perhaps we need to step back from this Shabbat and give it a little space? And that saying no is just as important as saying yes. So with that in mind, we will continue with Lecha Dodi. Please join us, page 20 or on the slides.
Lecha Dodi likat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela. Lecha Dodi likat kala, yalalai, 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 b'nei Shabbat, nekabela.
You may be seated for just a moment. I invite you to please read along with me, page 27 or here on the screens. Teach me, O God, a blessing, a prayer on the mystery of a withered leaf, on ripened fruit so fair, on the freedom to see, to sense, to breathe, to know, to hope, to despair. Teach my lips a blessing, a hymn of praise, as each morning and night you renew your days. Lest my day be today as the one before, lest routine set my ways. We're going to continue with Chatzi Kaddish, and I'd like you to, again, please rise.
Yitkadav yikadash me rabba.
Amen.
Yamad divrach hirute v'yamlik machute. B'chayechon v'yomechon uv'chayetecho beit Yisrael. Ba'agala, ba'agala, uv'izman kariv, v'imeru, amen. Yeheshemei Rabba Mevorach, Ba'alam O'amei Amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach v'yishtabach, Yipa'ar Yitroman v'yinaseh, Yithadar, Yithalev, Yithalach, Shemei Dekudesha,
Berichu.
Le'elam Minkol, Birchata v'shirata, Tushbechata v'nechemata, ta'amiran be'alma, ve'imeru.
Amen.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamevarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. You may be seated. And we'll continue with Ma'ariv Aravim. Please join me in the Hebrew. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bidvaro Ma'ariv Aravim Bechochma Poteach She'arim Uvitvuna Meshane Itim Umachalif et Hazmanim Umisader et HaKochavim B'mishmerotehem Barakia Kirtzono. You are the creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzevaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on the evening. Baruch atah Adonai hama'ariv aravim. We'll continue reading together with Ahavat Olam. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them helps give meaning to our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael. Please rise as we sing together Shema. Please be seated.
And you shall love Adonai your God with all your shall be in your heart. You shall teach them diligently unto your children. You shall speak of them when you're sitting in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you rise up, and when you lie down, and when you lie down, you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be for frontlets between your eyes, and you shall write them on the doorposts of your house and upon your gates, and upon your gates, that you may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
So as we head into Mi Chamocha, we recall how our ancestors were so thankful that God freed them from slavery in Egypt. And even with everything going on, our tradition reminds us to look for gratitude, even perhaps when it's difficult, to think of what we can be grateful for. So I'd love to come around with the microphone if anyone would like to share what they are grateful for. And also if you are joining us virtually and you'd like to add it to the Facebook comments, I will be more than happy to read on your behalf. What are you thankful for this Shabbat? So I made I'm in the yellow mic here. Thank you. Anyone want to share what they're grateful for? I'm going to get my steps in.
I'm thankful that my granddaughter Madison is here for a visit.
Yay.
All right. Want to share? Oh, we did want to.
Well, I'm counting down the weeks, and in 2 weeks from now, I should be in New York celebrating with my niece who's getting married.
Anyone else want to share?
My granddaughter is going to have a gender reveal in 2 weeks.
Could you repeat that again? Or what did you say?
Granddaughter's going to have a gender reveal in 2 weeks. Very exciting. Yes. Mazel tov.
Great.
Anyone else like to share? Gail? Oh,
Well, I'm very grateful to be back here in Temple Beth Shalom and to be our first in-person synagogue service in over a year and a half.
amazing. And we're happy you're here. All right. Mrs. Rosales, anyone else?
And I am grateful that our garage is finished. I can now park in a garage again.
I have one. I am thankful that Gail is her garage is done. That's the best I got.
We can always find something to be grateful for. Always. And I see Brooks shares, Brooks is grateful to still be out of the hospital, for sure. Amen. Something to be grateful for sure. Glad to hear that. So thank you so much, everyone, for sharing. I mean, even if you didn't, we can still focus on something that we can feel grateful for this Shabbat as we sing together. Mi Chamocha.
Mi chamocha be'elim Adonai, mi chamocha ne'etar b'kodesh, nora tehilo, osef eleh, nora tehilo, osef eleh. Yum bim bum bum bye bye, yum bim bum bum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bim bum bum bye bye, yum bim bum bum bye bye, yum bim bum bum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bye bye bye. Adonai Leolam, Leolam Vaed, Leolam, Leolam, Leolam Vaed. Yummy bum bum bye bye, yummy bum bum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bum 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 bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bye bye, yum bum bye bye bye.
And there's one more from Facebook. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay sometimes. Grateful for a week in the woods with friends to reset my stress level. That sounds amazing, definitely. Now that we're in summer, we can get, I mean, surely in the winter you can also get out into nature, but it's even more available, I think. A little bit easier in the summer. We're going to continue together in singing Vishamru. Keep on singing with us. Or snapping with us.
Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Beni Ruben Oti leolam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Yamim sa Adonai et ha-shamayim et ha'aretz. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat vayi nafas, Shabbat vayi nafas. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat la'asot et ha-Shabbat l'dorotam berit olam.
We're going to continue together with Adonai Sifatai and our Amidah prayers. I invite you to please rise.
Na 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 Adonai. Na 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 Sfatai Tivka. Na 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 Ufi Agi. Ufi Agi Tehilatecha. Ananana Svatayim Tiftach. Ananana Ufi Agi Tehila Techa. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu v'Imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim V'Konei HaKol V'Zocher Hasei Avot V'Imahot U'Mevi Geula Livnei Bneihem Lema'an Shemo B'Ahava Melech Ozer U'Moshiach U'Malkein Baruch atah Adonai Magen Avraham ve'ezrat Sarah Atah gibor le'olam Adonai V'chayei hakol tarav le'hoshi'ah V'chalkei hayim b'chesed V'chayei hakol berachamim rabim Zomek noflim v'rafei holim Umatir hasurim Umekayim emunato lishenei afar Michamocha bal gevurot umido melot Melech memit umechayeh umatzniach Yeshua V'ne'eman atah l'chayot hakol Baruch atah Adonai Mechayei hakol. Atah kadosh v'shimcha kadosh Kadoshim b'chol yom Yachalu chasela Baruch atah Adonai Ahel hakadosh.
Amen. You may be seated, and we'll continue with some silent prayer using pages 54 to 60 if you would like, or whatever words may be in your heart.
Say shalom, shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Say shalom aleinu. Ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael. Amen. Oh, say shalom bimromav. Uyaseh shalom aleinu ve'yakol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ve'yakol Yisrael. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So a few weeks ago, I spent some time on vacation out west, and it was amazing seeing my family after about 1.5 years of being apart. As we all know, FaceTime and Zoom don't come close to the real thing, so it was quite wonderful. And as I spent time catching up with friends and family, I noticed something about how we talked about the last 1.5 years. So I'm curious, how many of you have used or heard something like the phrase, because of the pandemic, within the last month? I'm seeing some folks nodding. Perhaps you who are here virtual are nodding as well. So when I was with family or friends, whomever, we would say, you know, if something changed or fell through, if we learned a new skill, if we had an emotional difficulty, so on, we just would say, because of the pandemic. And we didn't have to explain the circumstances. We didn't have to explain what COVID-19 was, or quarantine, or safety guidelines. We could just say, because of the pandemic. And the implication was that we all got it. We all knew what that meant. So, of course, if we take it out of context, just the words, the pandemic, can sound really vague. But when we hear it, us right now, it activates a shared understanding of what the last 1.5 years has been like. No matter who you are, all of us can relate to what it's been like to live through this pandemic. If you talk to anyone, like literally anyone, they will have a story about changing plans, about being stuck in quarantine, how COVID has affected their life, and they will probably tell you about it through a mask or on Zoom. Many of us may have similar experiences throughout our lives, such as going to school, for example. But a shared experience, like a global pandemic, is totally different. It's rare when everyone in the entire world has a shared experience at the same time that has affected each of us so deeply. Even though we were having individual lives, of course, within this pandemic, there are many ways that we've experienced this together. And this is related to Moses' brilliant strategy in this week's Torah portion, Ekev. The Israelites are right at the edge of the Jordan River. They are about to enter Canaan as a new people, but Moses is staying behind. So Moses spends a lot of time in the book of Deuteronomy recapping the last 40 years in the wilderness, and he shares more teachings and more commandments. So as you can imagine, it is quite a monologue. Everyone who lived through the Exodus from Egypt, like the 10 plagues, the parting of the sea, all of that, all of them are gone except for Moses. The Israelites standing before him are an entirely new generation born in the wilderness over the last 40 years. And yet, Moses describes the journey of the Exodus to the Israelites as if it actually happened to them. He reminds them of the 10 plagues by saying, the wondrous acts you saw with your own eyes. He recalls the building of the golden calf by saying, you made yourselves a golden calf. For each adventure, each victory, and each misstep, Moses says, you did that. He says, remember the long way that Adonai your God has made you travel in the wilderness these past 40 years. So we might think that it's strange for Moses to tell the Israelites that they experienced firsthand what their parents and grandparents actually went through. But by making the experience personal and immediate, Moses keeps the last 40 years alive in the hearts of the people about to enter the land. It is a tradition that ancient rabbis continued, as we say on Passover, Avadim Chayinu, we were slaves in Egypt. And on Yom Kippur and other moments, we recall the moment of receiving the Torah at Mount Sinai as if each and every one of us, all Jews throughout generations and all yet to be, stood and accepted the covenant together. In psychology, this is a powerful collective phenomenon called the collective unconscious. The concept was developed by Carl Jung, who says, a group experience takes place on a lower level of consciousness than the experience of an individual. This is due to the fact that when many people gather together to share one common emotion, the total psyche emerging from the group is below the level of the individual psyche. If I have a so-called collective experience as a member of a group, it takes place on a lower level of consciousness than if I had the experience by myself alone. So, in the same way, by describing the Exodus as a collective shared experience, Moses, without realizing it, because he's probably not a psychologist, but still, he ensures that it will live on psychologically for generations afterwards. And hopefully, those teachings and commandments will also last alongside them. Of course, the pandemic is a very real experience, not from our Torah thousands of years ago, and of course, it is very much still happening. But this week's Torah portion can remind us that we're all in the middle of a collective unconscious experience that is still being shaped. It's going to connect us subconsciously in powerful ways that we may not yet fully understand. So what does that mean for us? Well, I'm not a psychologist, so I can't say for sure on that front what that will mean. But I think as we look ahead to the high holidays, perhaps we can still lean into this idea of being a collective, of connection and shared understanding. For many of us, our experience of this pandemic has included feelings of fear, loss, fatigue, and exhaustion. If we can recognize that that's been our experience, and that we're in the middle of a shared collective experience, perhaps we can extend patience and compassion to all those around us who are experiencing the same things we are. To the person who cut us off in traffic, to the understaffed waiter at the restaurant, to any person who may have wronged us this year. Perhaps for these high holidays, we can extend even more empathy and forgiveness towards those who may have missed the mark during a year where we have all been tested in ways we never could have anticipated or planned for. We can extend our hearts towards our community's needs and problems that are being exacerbated by this pandemic, even if they don't directly apply to us. Moses creates a collective unconscious experience so that the Israelites remain a community, so they don't disperse once they enter the land without him. Those experiences can help shape how we as a community treat each other and relate to each other with empathy and understanding and kindness. I believe that the way we as a TBS community have supported each other through this pandemic has created a stronger community. And may this collective unconscious also help our country and our world create a shared understanding and empathy and, God willing, unity. Shabbat Shalom. Speaking of empathy, as we turn to Misha Berach, we'll now take a moment to think of those whom we can also extend our hearts, those who are in need of healing of body and mind and of spirit. We're thinking of Catherine Adler, Marcia Ames, Marilyn Altman, Lynn Adams, Sarah Bates, Deborah Belford, Barbara Belford, Libby Blakely, Marjorie Block, Paul Branson, Joan Bray, Lee Boudin, Dave Cedarquist, Dorothy Cohen, Rob Cohen, Lily Kovitz, Adrian Crawford, Rick Crawford, Taya Delano, Tony Diegler, Carrie Ebert, Elaine Ellick, Don Feibel, Michael Fiorelli, Rachel Fish, Olivia Glick, Jean Goldberg, Bernice Goldstein, Jimmy Green, David Haas, David Hirsch, Don Kerr, Jeanette Clayman, Aidan Kramer, Peter Levy, Barb Lucas, Angel Marrero, Fred Martin, Minna Melton, Paul Mickelson, Connie Minarovic, and David Minarovic, Dick Nettleman, Robert Oakley, Nick Parisi, Aaron Phelan, Ian Phillips, Aaron Plasko, Rashi Prestowski, Jessica Rathkopf, Isabel Resendez, William J. Reese, Barry Richmond, Zachary Rowe, Arthur Rose, Irving Rose, June Sahara, Rolf Sauer, Barbara Schuster, Amitai Sella, Richard Schur, Lou Supowitz, Lauren Tate, Robert Weiss, Joan Swanson, and Joey Gaskell. When I ask the community gathered here tonight if there's someone whom you are praying for who's in need of healing, you're welcome to say their name aloud. For them and for all those who are in need of healing, we'll pray together, Misha Berach.
Misha Berach Avotenu Bekor
our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Yishebera imotenu mekor habracha yavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shalema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. And let us say, Amen.
We'll now continue with singing together by Yom Hahu. Please join us.
Hayom Hahu, Yehieh Adonai Echad. Hayom Hahu, Yehieh U'Shemo Echad. Ne'emar, as is written in Ne'emar, let it be said, God rules the earth, and the day God shall be one. And Adonai, Melech Haaretz, on that day, God's name shall be one. Bayom Hahu, Yehieh Adonai Echad. Bayom Hahu, Yehieh U'Shemo Echad.
As we prepare for Mourner's Kaddish, I invite you to please rise. There are stars up above, so far away we only see their light, long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us. As we live our days, these are the ways we remember. Tonight we recall those whom we've lost within the last 30 days and are observing Shloshim. We remember Florence Bricker, Phyllis Clark, Rachel Goldblatt, Jane Greenfield, Sandy Schaefer, and Eileen Schneer. We're also recalling those whom we lost at this season and in years past. We're remembering Martin Alper, Melvin Cohen, Violet Cohen, Nancy Frank, Joan Gerson, Lillian Goldenberg, Joe Gorka, Leah Kuhl, Haley Kornblum Shalaby, Fanny Lansky, Vilma Linder, Frank Miner, Louise Murray, Ronald Rose, Alvin Roth, Frida Schneider, Sydney Schwartz, Charles Sugarman, and Aaron Tuman. If there's someone whom you're remembering tonight, either a yahrzeit or Shloshim, or they just happen to be in your heart, I invite you to say their name aloud if you would like. For them and for all those who have no one left to say Kaddish for them, we'll recite together. Yit Gadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma Divra Chirutei v'yamlich Malchutei, B'chayechon uv'yomechon uv'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala uv'izman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehei Shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam ulalmei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha barichu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechamata. Da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Osei shalom b'mromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel, to all the world. And let us say together, Amen. You may be seated. Now I'd like to invite up Bobby Kovitz, our Executive Director, for some announcements.
Thank you, Rabbi, and Shabbat Shalom, everyone. So the big event this past week was High Holiday registrations opened online. Please go to our website, tbsohio.org, click on the High Holiday tab, and that will bring you to our registration page. As Rabbi Lynette alluded to, COVID is still having an impact on our lives, and I would anticipate that over the course of the next week or two, we will be sharing some additional changes just to how we go about our programming and our services. For instance, we had the best of intentions with Sprinkler Shabbat next week, but I would imagine we're going to be making some changes to that. So please check out the e-window next week for any programmatic updates. With High Holy Days, we are still planning on having in-person and outdoor services, and there will obviously be a virtual option as well. But we just might have to make some modifications to ensure that we can provide the TBS experience as safely as possible. We will be sharing all of this through the e-window, dedicated emails, and on social media as well. Again, it is our hope that we will be able to provide the TBS experience as safely as possible. That has been our task force's goal since day one. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ever reach out to myself, the rabbis, and thank you for making TBS your Jewish home.
Thank you, Bobby. We're going to continue. Gail, would you like to do the closing song first?
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to do the closing song and then some Kiddush and Motzi. Joining Mark on guitar is Mrs. Rose. We're going to sing together.
Hold on.
We're going to sing Am Yisrael Chai.
Amen, 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 Yisrael Chai. Amen, 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 Yisrael Chai. Amen, 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 Yisrael Chai. Amen, 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 Yisrael Chai. Oh, Rabbeinu Chai. Oh, Rabbeinu Chai.
Oh, wait. There we go.
All right, we'll continue with Kiddush and Motzi. My mic over here. Anyone want Manischewitz? No takers? Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen l'chaim.
Hiya.
All right. And after services, if anyone would like to come grab some challah, you are more than welcome. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz. We give thanks to God for bread. Our voices rise in song together as our joyful prayer is sung. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Oh, really?
Okay.
All right, let's reprise this thing. Amen, Amen, Amen Yisrael Chai. Amen, Amen, Amen Yisrael Chai. Oh, 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 Ravina. Oh, oh, Ravina.